If you could sit down with a healthy, honest 70-year-old and ask them what they wish they had known in their 50s or early 60s, the answer would probably not start with their portfolio balance. They would talk about time, health, relationships, the trips they waited too long to take, the work they stayed in longer than they wish they had, and the friendships they let fade, the body they assumed would always cooperate, and the strange realization that money matters, but time matters a lot more. So if you're in your 40s, 50s, or 60s, this isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up in the best possible way, because you may still have time to use the lessons that many people don't fully understand until they're older, in their 70s and 80s. Your 50s and 60s are not just a retirement planning window, they are a life design window. Welcome to the UnRetired, where you're not done, but you're finally doing what you want. If you're planning for retirement, you're already retired, or you're trying to build a better next chapter, if you're right in the midst of it, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps more people find these conversations, and it tells YouTube that retirement is about more than money. All right, let's get into this. The first lesson is that your 50s and 60s may be the narrow window where money, health, and freedom overlap. When you're young, you often have time and health, but not much money. In midlife, you finally may have more money and you still have your health, but you don't have much time as your career is often running and crazy and bustling. Then later in life, you may have more time and maybe enough money, but your health might start becoming more unpredictable. The magic window is when all three of those things overlap: enough money, enough time, enough health. In that window, it doesn't last forever. And one of the biggest regrets that people have later when they look back is that they waited too long to do the things that required energy, movement, curiosity, and courage. It could be the walking trip, the big family vacation, a big hike, a new business, a relocation, the adventure, and the hard conversations that we need to have to put our lives in order. The second lesson is that time is more valuable than money. Sounds really obvious, and look, we've all heard the phrase that time is money. I mean, it's not only a saying, it's a cliche. People have done songs about it. But as you get older, you start to realize that phrase is backwards. Money can compound. Money can sometimes be replaced, and money can even be earned again. But time, it only spends down. Every year, every season, every month, every week is part of a finite supply. So the danger is not only that you run out of money, the deeper danger is that you run out of healthy time before you use the life that you worked so hard to build. And that's why your 50s and 60s matter so much. Those are the years, they set the tone for the next 20, 30, 40 years. They're not a waiting room for old age. They are the launch pad into what the next version of your life is. The third lesson is to protect your health before you need to think about it. At 55 or 60, exercise is no longer about looking better. You're not winning competitions. You're not setting personal records. It's about buying back your future freedom. Strength training is about getting out of a chair when you're 80. Balance is about not falling. Cardio is about energy and independence and making a strong heart and lungs. Mobility is about being able to travel, play with grandchildren, or walk through airports, even just carry groceries, or live without shrinking your world. Health is the currency that lets you spend your money, enjoy your family time, travel, work less, move freely, and most importantly, stay independent. And it's not just physical health, it's also your mental health. That matters too. Sleep matters, stress matters, friendships matter, renewal matters. And if your life has been built around pushing, producing, performing, your 50s and 60s, this may be the moment to rebuild around energy, resilience, and peace. The fourth lesson is learning to say no. In your 20s, 30s, and 40s, saying yes can build your life, can build your career. Yes to the job, yes to the promotion, yes to the big trip or moving overseas, or yes to the move anywhere. Yes to the opportunity, yes to the responsibility. I volunteer, I want the project that's hard that makes my career. But the first half of life, it may reward you for saying yes. The second half often rewards you for saying no. No to draining obligations. No to unnecessary drama. No to prestige products that you don't care about. Or no to social expectations that frankly just feel exhausting. No to lifestyle clutter. No to toxic relationships. No to being endlessly available to everyone else while becoming unavailable to yourself and being able to enjoy yourself. In the grand scheme of life, saying no is not selfish. Sometimes it's how you protect the life that you spent your whole life earning and building. The fifth lesson is to stop playing the status game. And this one can be a little tricky, especially for high achievers. By the time people reach their 50s or 60s, many feel pressure to prove they made it. The bigger house, the luxury car, the watch, the club, the expensive trip, the visible symbol that says, hey, I was successful. And look, there's nothing wrong with buying nice things if you truly want them and you can afford them. But before you buy the symbol, ask yourself whether or not you actually really want the experience. Do you want the car? Do you want to feel admired? Do you want a bigger house? Or do you want to feel important? Do you want the luxury vacation? Or do you want the photo that proves that you're living well? One useful idea that I've started experimenting with is to rent the experience before you buy the identity. You could rent a sports car for a weekend. You could take an extended trip before buying the second home. Try the lifestyle before locking yourself into the cost, the maintenance, and worse, the obligation. Sometimes the experience is enough. Sometimes it confirms that you really do want the thing, but either way, you'll learn before you commit yourself into something for the long term that allows you to say no to get out of. So, which of these lessons hits you the hardest right now? Is it time, health, relationships, purpose, or money? Drop a comment below and share your perspective and your personal experience. I read all the comments and I guarantee you somebody else is going to read yours and it's probably going to help them figure out their own situation as well. The sixth lesson is to buy back time when you can. And this is not about wasting money, it's about making intentional trade-offs. At a certain point, frugality can become really expensive, especially if it costs you the healthiest hours of your life. So if you hate yard work and you can afford help, maybe you buy back Saturday morning. If house cleaning drains you, maybe you buy back a little bit of energy in a few hours. If admin tasks consume your week, maybe you simplify, delegate, or try and automate, especially in this day of AI. This can be hard for people who are used to doing things by themselves and who pride themselves on it, frankly. But sometimes the fact you can do something does not mean that you should do that something. You may be perfectly capable of spending 4 hours on a chore you dislike, and if that same 4 hours can be used for a walk, a friend, a grandchild, a hobby, a workout, or meaningful work, then the real cost of doing it yourself may actually be higher than you think. The seventh lesson is to track your real retirement spending before retirement. Many people automatically assume that expenses go down in retirement, and sometimes they do. But early retirement can be surprisingly expensive because people finally start living. Things they put off with, now they're saying yes to. It could be like travel, home projects, hobbies, family visits, healthcare, bucket list experiences, and helping adult children. Also relocating and just testing new lifestyles and new hobbies and new fun things to do. The first few years of retirement are often not the slow-go years. These are the go-go years, the go-go years of your senior age. And look, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't spend. In fact, this may be exactly when you should spend intentionally, but you need real numbers. So start tracking your current expenses. Separate basic living costs from the discretionary fun stuff. And think about what adventure spending might look like in the first 5 years of retirement. Remember, I'm saying start doing this before you retire so you get in the habit of doing it. So again, figure out what that first 5 years might look like. Guessing is not a retirement plan. And as we just said, those first 5 years present an amazing opportunity when you finally have the time and energy and the money to go and do things. So you're probably going to spend a little bit more, so get your arms around it. The eighth reason is to reconnect before it's too late. A successful retirement is not just funded, it's connected. Many people reach their 70s and they realize they let too many friendships fade while they were still busy building their careers, raising families, and managing responsibilities. And then retirement arrives and they have time, but not enough community. So call an old friend, schedule the lunch, join a group, volunteer, rebuild family rituals. In other words, just create social routines before you need them. Don't wait until loneliness shows up to start rebuilding or building new connections. One of the things I've done in my life when I retired, as I said, I've got time. I've had a lifetime of friendships. Some people I haven't even talked to for 40 or 50 years. I made a list of people, and every month I reach out to one or two. Most of the time I end up having a virtual coffee on a Google Meet or a Zoom, or just even a phone call. The point is I'm connecting with people that were important to me throughout my life. And it's been super fulfilling, so I highly recommend that. But also, not just the people you haven't talked to in years, just even the people that are around you. Make sure you build those connections. Relationships are easier to maintain than to rebuild, but they can be rebuilt if you take the first step. And don't wait for them to do it, because it's not as important to them as it is to you. So do it. The 9th lesson is that you should not just retire from something. You need to retire to something. Many people retire because they're exhausted, they're burned out, or just tired of the stress. And it's totally understandable. Rest may be necessary. Rest may even be sacred or required. But rest is a wonderful first chapter of retirement. But it's a terrible entire plan of retirement. A great retirement needs purpose, identity, structure, contribution, curiosity, learning, relationships, and adventure. These are things that we talk all the time about on the UnRetired. Super important. But these things do not have to be dramatic. They don't mean that you need to start a new company or climb a mountain. You do need something that's going to pull you forward. Remember we said, don't retire from something, retire to something. So think about something that gives shape to your days, something that makes you feel useful, alive, and engaged. Now, if this is resonating with you, please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the UnRetired, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss our multiple weekly videos where we talk about retirement lifestyle, purpose, money, health, reinvention, and just how to build a great next chapter that actually fits the person that you want to become. Now, here's the final lesson. Do not try and redesign your entire life in one day. Just choose 2 or 3 things that kind of hit you the hardest. Schedule the trip, start strength training, call the friend that you hadn't talked to in years, say no to just one obligation that you don't really have any interest in, track your spending, and buy back a few hours of your time. Stop chasing status and define what you're retiring towards. Hey, your 70-year-old self is already trying to get your attention. It's saying, listen to me. The question isn't whether or not your 50 or 60-year-old self is willing to listen. The life you want later, it has to be built right now. Money matters, yes. But as we talk about all the time on the UnRetired, money is just one part of the retirement equation. Your time, health, relationships, purpose, these are the things that decide whether your money actually means anything at all. Retirement is not just a finish line, it's a redesign project. It's a renovation of a new house. And the sooner you start to design it, the more life you may still have left to enjoy.